Hello, this is Vera Serdechnaia from Russia, and I want to tell you something about crying, singing and directing on Blake in Russia in 2017-2021. William Blake's poetry generated much interest in Russia in last years. I'd like to show you some important examples of this dialogue between two cultures, which is very interesting to observe, as for me. Now, Dmitry Smirnov, an enthusiast and inspired man, a true connoisseur of William Blake, passed away in Watford Hospital from COVID on the 9th of April 2020. By the time of his untimely death, he has translated almost all of Blake's poetry, with the exception of Vela or Four Zoas, offering a unique personal project of Blake translation in Russian. In 2017, he published a full Russian translation of Jerusalem, the Emanation of the Giant Albion, in Magreb Publishing House in Moscow. And later, Dmitry Smirnov prepared a full bilingual version of Milton poem, which has been published in 2021 in the same publishing house. Both books are published with a big commentary and the dictionary written by Smirnov himself. These are first translations of these both prophecies in Russian, full translations. Earlier there were some pieces translated by Marshak and others. And these are great works of translation and commentary. And I think that this is a great work that Smirnov has ended before his death. Then I'd like to tell you about these books, yes, Jerusalem and Milton. Jerusalem just in Russian and Milton is bilingual. And I want to tell you about Andrey Tavrov, a poet, a famous poet of the meta-realist direction in modern Russian poetry. In 2018, he created a cycle Crying on Blake, Platch по Bleiku in Russian, which shows many interesting ways of recreating Blake myth and biography in the context of Russian and world poetry. Andrey Tavrov took a significant prize of Andrey Belly for his Crying on Blake. So this cycle became famous and known in Russia, and this book was reprinted in 2021. I would like to present you some excerpts of my own translations of Tavrov's verses in English. It is a strong and interesting poetry as for me. A piece of Blake and an infant. You can see the text. Blake is going towards Oxford Street, his back in flames. He notices the foundling on the threshold, picks him up, sees the dragon wings, but doesn't throw him away, and whispers something in his ear. William is a deep file. Satan, William says, is not a right word, the rider force, power. And he carries the child to the orphanage, past the taverns, embankments, invalids, past the puddle-scarred flapping wickets, past the servants' clerks' porters' open windows. William goes like a torn cocoon, which became a butterfly in a reliable air. And the next one I want to show you is Blake between the lake and the wax. O England the bird, I have brought you holiness to your gardens and mills, to printing houses and ports, to your green hills and rivers. O Albion, a sister to Halcyone, O Kingfisher, Anglo-Slavonic anthem, O creeks and angels. On the broad platter, on the broad lake, I, William, lay my head, with the compressed lips, with the straws in the nostrils, to breathe long, while witness plaster dries up. And the final lines of this verse is something alike to Proverbs of Hell. You can see it. There are 8 proverbs. He who looks for the impossible faces its master. To see the reality is to bridle a unicorn. He who drinks the blue sky never dies. Lay in a boat with your girlfriend and never lose it. It will jam you together in heavy surf. To love is to wipe up after the puppies, angels, and old men. Do not divide a god and a man with your lips while dividing your lips. You give birth to people and a star, and they to you. Don't believe the words without rhythm in which behemoth lives. And the next and last with Tavrov is a piece of from Blake Sparrow. I go through London to Mr. Flaxman. I hear the lions of heart, the harpies of the mind. The sparrow sits on my shoulder. He's until the eyebrows in snow and in the words. Speaking the verbs, compresses the nouns of birds, houses, and people, existence nouns into existing names, into sailors, into Mr. Flaxman's prints, into snowbirds. Suppose no one sees him after his ascension to the origin, but here I see him, unlike, let's say, Mr. Swinburne, and so on. So Tavrov presents a vision of Blake as a figure in the multidimensional reality of times and spaces, of literatures, and I think it's a very interesting work. I hope I hope to publish the translations with help of my friends. So in 2020, in the Electro Theatre Stanislavski, Moscow, composer and director Alexander Belousov presented an opera named Book of Seraphim, Книга Серафима, based on Blake's book on Thel, in original and in translation by Balmont, and a piece of Dostoevsky's novel Demon, Бесы, in English translation, Stavrogin's Confession. This is an interesting example of the combination of Blake and Dostoevsky, which can be seen earlier in Andrei Gide and Czeslaw Milosz. This opera became a significant show. It has taken some nominations for All Russian Theatrical Golden Mask Award, the Best Performance in Opera, Best Work of the Director, Best Work of the Composer, Best Woman's Role, the Best Male Role. It is a strong polyphonic opera which presents a contemporary classical music and interesting performance and Russian and English texts. Blake and Dostoevsky are mixed and sometimes are heard at once. Russian Blake, English Dostoevsky, Russian Dostoevsky, English Blake, and everything at once. It's very interesting, and I want to show you some pieces of it. Here there are two Thels, a Thel dancing and a Thel singing. The daughters of Mne Seraphim are presented as schoolgirls with Soviet ABC books, but uniformed in pre-Soviet style. We can see an extract now. These are these two Thels. So, why did the composer Alexander Belousov decided to unite such strange heroes, Thel and Stavrogin? In the chapter chosen for this opera, Stavrogin confessed to a priest that he seduced a young girl. The composer decided that Thel and Stavrogin are united by their desire to something new and unknown, so they meet and they fall in love. We can see it now. These are Stavrogin and Thel dancing.
Так это было мне неприятно. Крошечный ребенке от жалости я преодолел самое чувство моего страха. Она была смущена.
So, later, Thel speaks with the matron Clay, sitting in the bath filled with soil. When she stands up, we see Thel is pregnant. Thel is close to Stavrogen and in her desire to break some limits. Both these characters are potential heroes. They are ready to break the rules and move beyond to risk. This pregnancy is the next step of life. While Thel is pregnant, she comes to the next level of experience and Stavrogen is fully acquitted. The key thought of the opera becomes the idea that everyone lives not for themselves, that the world is filled with self-sacrifice. This idea that shocked and an innocent Thel is deeply consonant to the works of Dostoevsky. So the opera takes its place in some visionary space of world literature, world culture, and presents two texts as living together and enriching each other. And the next one. Oh, this is about Thel and Stavrogen. And the next one. In 2020, rock singer Leonid Fedorov created a series of 17 music videos on songs based on Blake's lyrics. It's a very interesting project that united new Russian translations, indie rock music, and extravagant low-budget videos in the face of COVID pandemic. Leonid Fedorov became interested in Blake when he saw an exhibition in Tate Gallery in 2019 and read his biography by Peter Ackroyd. Leonid Fedorov asked his friend Igor Delfinov to make new translations of some Blake's texts. These are Fedorov and Delfinov. I'd like to show you some examples of these pandemic videos, some short pieces. The first is Jerusalem and did those feed in Russian.
И шел он в древности седой по зеленеющим холмам, Евангелий прекрасный след оставил Агнец Божий сам.
And let's see a short and psychedelic version of Russian Tiger. Okay, then the song I chose Poison Tree that takes two Russian translations. Low budget videos, but inspiring as for me.
Приказал и зло ушло, на врага таил я зло, но промолчал и зло росло.
And finally, I want to show you Never Pain to Tell Thy Love, a little piece of.
Я ей открыл все сердце я.
Oh, I'm sorry. Something went wrong, but I think you understand what is it. Finally, I can show you the book I published in Gorodets Publishing House, Moscow in Russia. This book contains all the facts of dialogue between Blake and Russian culture I could get from archives and libraries. This book mainly corresponds to the concept of my doctoral thesis. So here you can see Blake has got a kind of very interesting and varied reception in Russia. Thank you.